Good day, fellow champions of inclusion. I am AA Ron, and this is the Inclusive Dad podcast, where we explore inclusion and make it practical. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join me in exploring ways we can create a more inclusive world together. You are important, you matter, and you can make a difference. Today, my guest is Lyubim Kogan. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Aaron. Nice to be here.
Absolutely. Why don't you just start us off just telling me a little bit about yourself?
Where should I start? How far back do we need to go?
Um,
Childhood?
I mean, if you want to, you can. Yeah. I mean, you're an
That's it.
immigrant, so just go ahead.
Yeah, so I was born in the former Soviet Union. I grew up in the 70s and the 80s, and I am the child of the Cold War, the other side of the Cold War.
Yep.
And my picture of the United States growing up was that President Reagan is sitting in his office, and he has this big red button, and he can go boom, and we're all gone.
Yep.
And then when I was 17, I got a chance to immigrate to the United States. It was my dad's decision. He picked up the whole family and moved us. We came in 1992. It was the year after Soviet Union fell apart. The part that we were from is Ukraine, unfortunately famous right now for
Yep.
the brutal war that is going on. But I came to the States when I was 17, and right from the beginning, I felt really included because I wanted to ski. You know, I was a skier and I was young and I still wanted to go. You know, my dream was to go to the Olympics. And when I came to New Jersey, I asked my uncle who lived there for 5 years before we got there. It's my father's brother. I asked him to find me a place where I could ski. And he called and wrote to different schools, and I got invited by the National Sports Academy in Lake Placid. It was a small boarding school, private boarding school. Um, and I went, I met them, did some physical testing, met the very small, you know, they have like 3.5 teachers. It was really small, like family like. And they said, okay, we have one Japanese exchange student, and now we're going to have another guy from former Soviet Union and Ukraine. And they gave me a scholarship, and that enabled me, you know, to live there. They
Hmm.
fed me, they gave me skis, and they said, when it's not school time, you're free to ski as much as you want to. So, talk about inclusion. I was welcomed by America right from day one, and
Yeah.
I spent the first year in the boarding room environment where it was perfect learning. You know, I didn't feel like other immigrants when you're learning on the street or somewhere. I was with people
Sure.
that I got to know, and I think I was really, really lucky in that sense. Then my dad's dream was for me to go to a really good business school, and I got into New York University. And then I figured out that if I still want to ski, I have to do a 600-mile commute every weekend. So my
Wow.
school ended. Yeah, my school ended on Thursday. I would go to my dorm, get my stuff, get on the bus at the Grand Central Station in New York, and then I would take the bus to Albany, New York, which is 150 miles.
Sure.
And I left my car there. I would just get off the bus, pick up my car, and drive another 150 miles to the Adirondacks, to Lake Placid. And I would ski Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then I would come back for college. And I did that for more than 2 years, you know, because I really
Yeah.
thought that I want to go for this Olympics because the next one is plus extra 4 years. And my sport
Yep.
was ski jumping, you know, when you're going 60 miles
Yeah. Yeah.
an hour head forward, then you really are aware of years, you know, you
Yep.
start counting really well. Yeah.
Wow.
So
That's cool.
that was like the first part of my life in the United States. And of course, I graduated from NYU. And then my personal dream was to work in the World Trade Center because, you know, those towers represented like the success of the most successful business people in the world.
Right.
And my first address was 50 Broad Street, which is it, it was two buildings away from the New York Stock Exchange. If you look at the white columns of the New York Stock Exchange, well, the original building was built on Broad Street. I think their address is like 12 or 14. And then they built around the corner to Wall Street
Okay.
because New York Stock Exchange is at the cross of Broad and Wall. And then they changed the address to Wall Street. But you know, my office was like just two buildings from the New York
Hmm.
Stock Exchange. I would walk out, look left, and I could see the columns. So that was, you know, for a kid who came to the United States just less than 8 years ago, it was pretty spectacular working there. And then we had a group of traders who broke away, started and joined another firm. And they said, Lubim, do you want to come check out our office? It's going to be in the World Trade Center. I said, oh, yeah, I want to go see it. And, it was magnificent because we had this windows from floor to ceiling, and the view from 45th floor was just amazing. And I said, I'm working here. And they said, we didn't even make you an offer. You don't know any terms, or aren't you interested? I said, no, I just want to work here. And
Right.
that's how I got to work in the World Trade Center. I know you wanted me to talk about. So if there's
Right.
anything else you want to know about the day or how it happened after, just let me know.
So you were in the World Trade Center on the day it happened?
Hmm
Wow.
On the day before, I met my best friend. We studied for the CPA exam together, and the CPA preparation course it runs the whole year on the
Yep.
weekends. Then, when we graduated, after we took the exam, he went to work for Merrill Lynch, and we were working across the West Side Highway. Like literally, you don't even need to go outside. They have the tunnels above the West Side Highway.
Hmm.
And we made plans to meet, but his boss held him late, and we met really late, and we stayed up really late. And the next day, he said, "Okay, I'm not even going to work." And I had a lot of things to do, so it was a Tuesday. I just really had to make it to the office, and on that day, I decided, if you're not familiar with New York City, but to get to the World Trade Center, you could take a train from any part from the Bronx, which is north, of Brooklyn, which is south. It would take you an hour and a half to commute, but you didn't need to go outside. So you
Right.
get off the subway, you get on the escalator to one
Hmm.
elevator, then you go up, then you take another escalator to an elevator, and then you are up in the clouds and you haven't seen the daylight.
Right.
And that day, because I was really tired, I remember I went outside one stop earlier, which is one long building on Chambers. And when I got out of the subway, I saw people standing and looking up. And it was right before 9 o'clock. And um, our tower was the North Tower, the one with the antenna, and it got hit first. So it actually got hit just minutes before I got out from the subway, and people were saying different things. But you know how it always is in the crowd, everybody
Yeah.
speculates. But when I heard the sirens, I knew that it was not something, my thought it burned overnight because I saw light gray smoke coming. I was on the south
Right.
side, on the north side, and I saw light gray smoke coming from top of the building. And then when the sirens were coming, it was clear that it's not something that just happened
Hmm.
overnight. Um, I crossed the street, and that's when the second plane flew into the south tower. So if it's flying from the south north, I was on this side, and that's where you see the smoke go out, and
Hmm.
of course people were running away, and the whole ground it shook the whole city. It was
Wow.
like a major earthquake. It's not a little earthquake, but
Right.
like rattling.
Wow.
And yeah, people were screaming, running away, but then everybody stopped after a few minutes because the smoke went back inside, and
Right.
it was kind of calm before another storm.
Yeah. Wow.
So
Yeah. I mean, I was at work that morning and I had my son was born. I have two children. My son was firstborn. He was 2 months old to the day when that happened. I just remember saying, well, this is gonna the world's gonna be different after this happened, and it definitely changed things. So yeah, it's one of those moments in your lifetime for me, even where it's just where you were. I know what I was wearing. You kind of remember all the things. It's interesting.
mhm. It's interesting. I meet so many people, and a lot of people are interested about that day. For me, I remember it vividly. The colors, the smell, the temperature
Mm-hmm.
was really nice.
Yeah.
Fall day. It was sunny. It was just one of those very comfortable days, where you just don't want to go anywhere. You want to stay and enjoy
Right.
before the
Yeah.
northeast winter comes in.
Right.
But you know, one of the things that I really remember on that day is just like how many people are running away from the building, and then you have few guys that are running in, like the firemen and the police. They were
Right.
just like this small but unstoppable force that they didn't even hesitate. They didn't look up because
Right.
at some point people decided that it's better to go jump out the window
Right.
than to wait for somebody to come. And those guys that they were just running in trying to save people, and it was a miracle what they did. The firemen and the police and the EMT, they've done a phenomenal job getting people out of the building.
Hmm.
Excuse
Yeah, for sure. It's okay. Thanks for sharing that. I appreciate it. What is your definition of inclusion?
me. It's the opposite of exclusion.
Yeah.
Really, I think that I really don't buy into these little ideas that and structures that people implement with the excluding people because I was excluded as a kid.
Okay.
My mom was killed when I was one. So one of the worst days in my entire life at age 7 was September 1st when we had to go first day to school. And that's when all the parents come with their kids and the flowers, and they have the whole thing for the teachers. And I just had a grandmother, and I
Hmm.
really felt like everybody's there and I'm excluded. So I think from the very, very early age, I developed hypersensitivity when people are starting playing games, and excluding. It doesn't matter what the exclusion is. I've been excluded as an immigrant, not fast enough, not tall enough, things like that when you do sports. And I think one of the coolest thing in terms of inclusion is when you have limited mobility. Um, for us, I fly paragliders, when you have limited mobility passengers, when we go up in the air, we are the same. You don't need to move, to feel what goes
Right.
through you.
Right.
So taking people who have limited ability paragliding, it's been a really like an eye-opening event because at those moments you realize who really is stronger.
Right.
I take guys and girls who had amputations after the war, and I just I want to give them a break. And that when you go flying in the air, it really blocks everything off. If you just hope that you will live, you're
Right.
enjoying it,
Yeah.
but your subconscious mind is going, "No, cannot
Right.
happen. Stop." And I had really was lucky because I lived in Colorado, and we have a really, I think we have one of the oldest skiing organizations in Winter Park, Colorado,
Okay.
National Association for the Disabled. And I was a sit ski instructor. So, people who are paraplegic or people who cannot stand on their own, we could put them in sit skis and go
Yep.
skiing all day. And that was really awesome. And I don't know if you organize trips, but that that organization is in Winter Park, Colorado, and they
Okay.
can accommodate any group. And we have a lot of kids that come, a lot of kids that come, and for them
Right.
it's a really special day to go play in the snow, in the sun,
Yep.
like just roll around.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really wonderful organization. So
Yeah. So I have a daughter, Cecilia. She's 22, but she uses a wheelchair, a power chair to get around, and she was. I mean, it was probably at least 10 years ago. There was a day that the hospital she goes to for appointments organized like an adaptive ski day on a ski hill in Minnesota, which is not that big. It's just a hill with snow on it. Here, they're not large ski hills. We don't have
mhm.
mountains or anything in Minnesota, but it was one. I'm not sure what it's called, but it's like what kind of looked like a sled on a ski, which she got to go in, and then
Yes,
she had.
that's a sit
Okay,
ski.
yeah, yeah.
And we
So she
have
got.
tethers and handles behind.
Yep, yep. So yeah,
Yeah.
she got to go up on the do a couple of runs, and she
Oh,
had a
cool.
blast doing that, going down the hill and stuff. So yeah, that's fun.
That's really awesome. Aaron, I think that, well, first of all, I have a lot of respect for you because, I have my best friend. They had a car accident when his kid she was few months old, and she got hit really hard. And, with the, she can use her hands somehow. Like, I mean, she has a little bit,
Yep.
but she never really developed. And we've been friends for almost 20 years, and I've seen what it's like for a parent. And my heart goes out to you, and I really
Thank you.
support everything that you do. And if our paths ever come cross and I can
Yeah, yeah,
fly you or your daughter, that would be really awesome.
yeah. Yeah, that'd be fun. I mean, when you were talking about the paragliding thing, to me, what came to mind is like that kind of levels the playing field. It takes away like, I mean, me being able to walk and my daughter not being able to walk. It kind of levels it. neither one of us really
Exactly.
need our legs
You
to
need
fly
to
through the air.
you
So
need to be able to sit. If you have
yeah,
a feeling in your butt
yeah,
cheeks, that's where you feel that it
yeah,
goes up and down, and the rest of your body, obviously it
yeah,
receives the. But I think paragliding is one of the few sports where the playing field, like you said, is level because
yeah.
once you're in the air, it doesn't matter if somebody
Right.
doesn't have legs or they cannot use them.
Yeah,
We are not in our element, and we're the same. We're just guests for a
yeah,
little period of time, and the transformation that passengers go through straight through just these 20 minutes, in the air,
yeah.
it's phenomenal. And now we have flying chairs, so don't even need to run, don't even need to get up, just so it looks like a modified wheelchair and it's
Okay.
balanced just so you can connect it and fly with it.
Okay.
So
Oh, connect.
yeah.
You can connect the chair right to the paragliding thing.
To the paraglider, yeah. So I
Oh,
connect
okay.
me to the paraglider and then there is a part that I connect from me to the
Oh,
chair.
okay. Nice.
And it actually is safer because it has wheels, and when you
Yep.
land, we need a lot of
Oh, sure.
speed. When we land
Yep.
with wheels, it's perfect.
Yeah.
It's really perfect.
So are you what you call an adrenaline junkie?
No, I actually I have a Swiss friend who says, "Lubim, you're the guy who cannot live with your fears, and I am fine by going to the gym. Bye bye." I just find that really
Yeah.
um like the challenges that really scare me, I find that personally satisfying after I get over it.
Okay.
The other
Yeah.
side of the fear for me, I think it's the enjoyment.
Yeah. Yeah.
As for adrenaline, I think I had enough, I'm slowing down.
Slowing down now. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So did you make it into the Olympics?
Yeah, I was lucky enough. I went to Nagano in '98,
Okay.
Nagano, Japan. I'm saying,
Yep.
if you are lucky to go that far, that was, because the next Olympics were in Salt Lake City.
Yep.
And I live in Colorado, and it's just not really far. Even from New York to Salt Lake City is not really far to go.
Right.
But to Japan, it was like trip to the moon.
That's
Different culture,
yeah.
really, really long flight. It was just super long flight, and
That's awesome.
people were really welcoming. They're just.
Yeah.
I had a. It was worth all the work and all the lonely days and nights grinding away and
Yeah.
taking the risk. If you commute 600 miles an hour every week, you have no college experience.
Right.
I gave
Yep.
up. I went to school in New York and I missed all the parties, like all of them. I
Right.
barely made it to my to my graduation.
Yeah. Yeah. What promise did you make, and why did you choose to keep it, no matter what the cost?
Oh, that's a wow. I saw how society, and no, I think we can put it in terms of inclusion, exclusion. We have the youngest and the bravest who volunteer to defend our freedom. They pick up arms and they go fight the bad guys. And I think in 2025, it's really clear that the world has changed. While things were really good in the past 10 years or before, it is not safe right now. And we have these men and women who put themselves in between war and peace. And the only reason that we can have this conversation and not worry about having to run for a bomb shelter is because there are brave men and women who are keeping, the war away from us.
Hmm.
And what I found out, what happens when they, especially like amputees or deaf veterans or the ones who suffer severe PTSD, because they all have PTSD, 100% of them.
Right.
It may not show up, but they all have PTSD. Once they're done, even take the United States, we have the best programs in the world, but they are excluded and they fall out of the system.
Hmm.
And it's like, it's the future of our country. It's the bravest. They are really. They have a lot us to teach. And I, uh, I saw, I saw a teenage girl. It was 2022. She walked out in front of a football stadium, packed football stadium, and she said, "Look, they can come and they can take our land, and obviously they can take a part of my body. She's missing one leg." And she said, "But they will never break me." And the reaction of the stadium, like everybody, it's a person, it's a young girl who lost a leg. For girls, if they have a pimple, it's the end of the world.
Right.
But here, it's a permanent permanent damage, and she is an example to everyone. And when I saw that, I thought, it's enough for me thinking that I should do something. I am going to do something. And I started Wings for Heroes, which is a humanitarian mission. I started with amputees, because they're the most difficult case.
Hmm.
They go through a lot physically. And once they're done with prosthetics, they normally there's nothing else. It's total vacuum in the system. And I thought I'll just fill that vacuum and take them. It started with paragliding. Now it's physical therapy. I have a swimming coach. I have a cycling coach. We have acupuncture. We just added the psychologist. So um, I guess I created a little system of inclusion
Yeah.
because I really believe that we owe them. And the promise is that you go take care of business, that Aaron and
Right.
I can have this peaceful conversation. But God forbid something happens to you and you come home injured, like we
Right.
have to take care of you. And
Right.
that's the promise that I think that our society is really failing at. We're not keeping that promise, and I'm not just doing it for me, I'm doing it for everybody because that scale is really balanced, not
Right.
towards our side, and I'm just trying to give back to those who sacrificed, and that's the promise that I made. And I spend my life taking care of veterans that got really destroyed in some ways during the war. And
Right.
meanwhile, I'm learning a lot from them. Everybody wants to know about the resilience. I say find any person who has some handicapped issue, limited mobility or mental, psychological, and just watch how the ones that go through life and don't give up, that's where
Hmm.
you find resilience. And that's what resilience is like. Because for us, fortunately, two
Right.
arms, two legs, we have nothing to complain. I
Yeah.
know people don't really stop and notice it, but I've seen so much of it around me that I just think that, it's better when we're all together. I don't think I know it's better when we're together because we have to learn a lot from each other.
Right. I don't know a lot of. I mean, I remember the Cold War and that stuff. I was born in 1977, so I mean, I remember the Cold War from the U.S. side. I mean, when you were growing up in Ukraine, was there like war stuff going on then, or is not at that
While
time?
I was growing up, when I was 5 years old, the Afghanistan war started,
Okay.
and it lasted until I was 16. So my first conscious part of my life, the war was in the background, and I saw what was happening because Afghanistan war, it was a really long and really
Hmm.
ugly war. It was far away, now it's in Ukraine. It's right where I was
Yep.
born,
Right.
right?
Right.
But I saw the guys coming back, and I saw the consequences. And I kept for more than 40 years, I had this question: why do they drink, for example? Why is
Right.
the system that's supposed to protect and take care of them at the end, why is it abusing? Because at that time, one of the things that police in the former Soviet Union like to do is they would find some Afghanistan veterans and they would have fights, and we're talking about real fights daily, almost every day. Kids, as you're little 7, 8, 9 years old, you're just
Right.
watching them fighting on the street, and like I couldn't understand why would police fight somebody who came
Right.
back from Afghanistan. It's like, but then I
Yeah.
realized, for them it was some kind of sick entertainment.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah,
What does
but
it mean
yeah,
to lead? What does it mean to lead when there's no system, no money, and no applause?
it means that I'll tell you in my case, I have a mission. I have tens of thousands of amputees that I can help. And a lot of times, most of the time, you run into a situation that there are more of them than funding, or you spend funds on one group and then emergency happens and you have to find
Hmm.
another one. And then, I don't have any employees, I don't have any staff. I do everything myself because I wanted to show that first of all, it's working, it's flying. And
Hmm.
then it started growing, so I was kind of following, physical therapy, going to all the sessions, scheduling them, driving. Same for swimming coaches, I just need to see what needs they have, so I kind of make a list and improve it that way. And nobody's watching, First 2 years I was self-funded. I didn't take any money from the public, and a lot of times you just want to like stop, because you think that why am I caring? Everybody says, Lubim, why are you doing something that a government is supposed to do? And I
Hmm.
know that there is a gap, so somebody has to do it. And when nobody's watching, I think it's really easy to stop. It's the same thing like when you're training for the Olympic
Yep.
Games. So you want to go through a really good college, you got to spend a lot of time away practicing, learning, training, doing whatever it is. And when nobody's watching, if you stop, well, nobody knows, right?
Right.
But what that means is that you really those moments when you feel like you're all alone is you really have to push through it. So to me, it means I just take one more step and one more step. I
Sure.
don't try to like get the whole thing done. My thing is that decision was made, the decision was made. Now I have to get to the goal and fly 50,000 MPTs. That's what I'd like to do in my lifetime. And yeah, that means just taking an extra step, Aaron. That's all. I don't do anything special. I just like, I did too many interviews and I really like ran out of energy, but I really wanted to talk to you because I think your topic is super important.
Thank you.
And showing up for this meeting, it's one of those things.
Right. So as you're talking, it kind of sounds like you think outside the box. And where I'm going with this is, I mean, obviously my daughter has a disability, and like you mentioned, like why don't you just let the government kind of do it? Like most people that I come across, we go down the path of there's this system, there's these services. Let's connect the person with those services. And to me, it seems like, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you don't go that route. Can you maybe go into maybe a little bit about why you don't just like
Mhm.
connect people to the system and those resources, and why you're kind of doing it this way?
Um, my idea originally was to give somebody who has sacrificed so much is to give them that temporary relief, mostly psychological.
Okay.
And psychologists say that somebody needs a traumatic positive experience or traumatic experience to like wake up from a depression.
Sure.
And I remember flying the first time. When I thought flying the first time, I thought I was gonna die. I
Hmm.
said goodbye to my dad, to my brother in the air. I said, that's it, it's over. I don't even
Right.
know that guy behind me. He's going to kill me.
Right.
And then, after we landed, I was like shaking for 20 minutes. And I remember I had no problems, I really had no problems in my life. Just like being here finished was the
Right.
best thing. And I was thinking for quite a long time that if we take amputees after they're done with their rehab and they get their prosthetic and we go flying, it will be that positive traumatic experience that hopefully will snap them out and they will experience that overflow of all the natural happy chemicals that flood through our body when you are thousands of feet in the air and
Right.
you have
Yep.
you have no fuselage, you have no engine, you're hanging in a little
Right.
backpack. If we're flying in the chair, they're open, they feel it. It's like they see the height.
Right.
So the idea was just to take somebody who went through extreme traumatic experience and lost a part of their body and push them off the cliff. So for a second they'll think they're dying and they'll forget that they're missing a leg or two. And
Right.
it's honest truth. That's how the whole thing started. I didn't go to the States because I started and sold a lot of companies. I had a financial planning business. I was a registered investment advisor in Colorado for almost 10 years. So I know the process really well. And I knew that if I go to the States with an idea, I have to get lawyers, I have to get licenses, I get to get permits, I have to get insurance. And
Sure.
oh, by the way, then I have to go probably to the Department of Defense or some official entity and say, hey, can you please give me a hero who has no leg? We're going to go jump off the cliff.
Yep.
It, and then I was in Turkey and I found the company. They fly limited mobility passengers and they do it without a chair. We just need a really good wind, one pilot, a person with limited mobility is connected like a regular flight. They're on the ground, they're not standing. And then two guys just help. We bring up the wing, and because the wind lifts it when we have the right wing, it looks like whoop, and they fly off. It's super easy. And I found a very good pilot who said, "Yes, I will fly. If you start bringing them, we'll
Hmm.
fly them." And Then I called a friend who was the governor of part of Ukraine, where I worked for 6 years, and he knew me really well. And I told him about the idea, and he said, "Okay, we'll find you a candidate." So, it was a personal connection plus in Ukraine, plus
Yep.
personal connection in Turkey, just to get it off the ground. And now, when you have pictures, videos,
Yep.
it exists, people know it works. It's
Right.
like selling somebody a bicycle before it is put together. First
Yep.
time is not possible, but when people see other people riding bikes, everybody's like, I want to try this thing.
Yep.
So I just thought I had a chance, and I went for it, and I got it. Literally, I lifted it off the ground with
Yeah.
personal effort, financing, time, connections. It just kind of all came together. And I knew that if I was thinking about going back to the States because I left in 2015 and, building a big company because I
Yep.
know how to do it and sending that cash flow towards the mission. But then I realized, it would probably be a one-way ticket because, I have to completely stop the mission. Nobody's flying, nobody's in recovery, nothing is just on the ground. And then
Right.
I just thought I will go as far as I can as long as I can, and it's how it is. Like
Yeah.
people always show up. Like you think everything is over, and then somebody shows up and says, "Here, let me help you through your next
Right.
step."
Yeah.
And the next step would be to bring it to the States, and I don't think it should be limited there. When I started doing the mission, there are a lot of people started doing missions too. Like there is one young lady in Torrey Pines near San Diego. If you have limited mobility, if your daughter or anybody who with limited mobility wanted to fly, um, they're flying in San Diego, and it's ideal because the wind comes from the ocean. It's
Oh,
always
okay.
stable, laminar, and they have a flying chair too, so they can fly anybody. And she just started it a few months ago. She's doing really well, and I think if you ever have vacation in San Diego, you should check out Torrey
Sure.
Pines Gliderport because they can fly anybody. And I
That's
hope
cool.
to cross with my mission and fly U.S. veterans starting in the same spot. It's ideal spot. It's just
That's
perfect.
cool. So, how many people have you taken up on flights now so far?
Uh, we are at about 14.
Okay.
We're talking
That's
about
awesome.
limited mobility. Yes, we have
Yeah.
hundreds of regular passengers, but yes,
Okay.
yeah,
That's cool.
yeah. And our number one is he's on all our logos. It's actually a real person. He
Okay.
was 20 years old when the war started. He turned 20 13 days before it started, and he volunteered to go. They put him to fly drones. He was flying drones, and then he started writing letters asking the government to transfer him to the assault brigade. And after 5 months, they transferred him to the assault brigade, and they had a fight where there were 13 Russians against one Ukrainian. The ratio was 13 to 1, and his commander went down, and he was the closest guy to the commander. He said he was like within arm's reach, and then he got shot. He got one bullet in his bulletproof vest right in the middle, in his chest, and the second bullet took out his leg. So um, when I asked for somebody to fly, they gave me actually double MPT. Our first passenger was going to be double MPT. Now, Aaron, I don't know much about we have some skills, but we don't really know how much
Right.
they needed. And it
Yep.
was 8 days before getting on the plane, they scheduled that guy for another surgery and he couldn't come. So they
Oh,
gave us the guy who had one leg, which really helped because where we fly, they built a new takeoff and it's like 40 steps just to go up, So
oh,
we would get him up there, but it doesn't have
right.
handicap access because it's a paragliding site. I don't think anybody thought that we need the wheelchair
Right.
access.
Yep.
However, now everybody's changing their mind because they see we flew a
Yep.
veteran, then more people come. And it's really, there are a lot of people with limited mobility. When they see somebody flying in the chair, they want to go. They're like, I want to
Yep.
go up. So they'll
Yep.
have to modify. They'll have to build a ramp, or a lift
Right.
to get them
Yep.
up there.
Well, like you said about the bicycle thing, like people that are in a wheelchair, they might not think they can do that, and then they see somebody else doing it. Like, hold on a second, it is possible. Now I want to do it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
completely possible. Even if somebody's quadriplegic now, you can fly,
right.
and you can go skiing too, and you can do so many things that
Yeah,
I just hope that, you get really famous and get your message out, and people with limited mobility and disabilities will go out and really show others what real strength is, because anyone who has disability, they have to work so much more just at basic
right.
things.
Yep,
I see our guys when they come, sometimes they have some issue with the prosthetic and it's just heartbreaking, it's just not
right,
clicking, and it's like a regular thing. Like imagine if you and I would spend 20 minutes putting on one shoe,
right.
right? And every day it wouldn't fit. It would be, but yeah.
Well, I mean, like I said, my daughter using like a power chair, and hers has like a tilt on it, so she can tilt back, like readjust herself. Well, in the last couple of months, her chair is 7 years old, so we're working on getting a new one, going through that process. But there's been two times where like the button for the tilt doesn't work, and you're like, okay, well,
Uh,
it doesn't seem like that big of a deal. But if she can't get
oh,
forward and to drive around, or we have to get her out of there, like, it's just that seems like a small thing to us, but then you're like, hold on a second. Then she can't tilt down, she can't drive around by herself. We got to figure out how to get her out of the chair. It's just so yeah, yeah. Or for
it's
her
a lot of
ASL,
practical things
yes,
that people don't ever think about.
yes,
And I
yep,
notice that, my biggest, like when somebody is in a wheelchair, people normally receptive to, move
right,
around and help. But we had a deaf veteran. He's deaf in one ear. He had a hand grenade drop from a drone, little drone dropped a hand grenade next to him, and
right,
they stitch his right side, like he cannot hear. And when they come, I do retreats. The first one, they come for 10 days. It's 1+1, one veteran and one spouse,
sure,
because if they have some special needs, I don't need a
yep,
caregiver. And you know what it's
yep,
like when you go somewhere else, you need two or three caregivers just for
right,
24 hours a day. But when they come with a spouse or a family member, it's super easy. And I put them up next to it. We have a nice hotel right across from my home, and I got a call from a manager who said, Lubim, like, you really need to, administrator, you really need to come over. If you're home, and I was at home, I come over and say, what's going on? And he says, well, there's like, we had guests who complained that there is like loud shouting in where your friends are staying, where your guests are staying. And I called him, and we had one volunteer up there, and he says, look, they're making sandwiches, we're having tea, it's a family discussion, there's no drinking, there's no partying, there's nothing going on. And I said, look, you guys got to be more quiet. And, they got quiet and really upset because they weren't doing anything.
right,
And I'm
yeah,
walking away from the administrator, and it hits me that he cannot hear. So I turn around and I walk up to him and I said, look, one of our guys, he cannot hear on his right side. So if somebody is standing on the right side,
mm-hmm.
they
Oh
have to
yeah, yep,
shout, they need to raise volume so he can hear from the other side.
right,
And the administrator is like, he's what? I said, he's deaf. And he's like, why didn't you tell me? I would have explained everyone. I'm so
right,
sorry. He is
right,
in the situation and he understands what's going on. So he had to go and tell other good guests that it's not a party, it's actually a veteran who is
yep,
deaf. And when you hear that volume raised, it's just so he can hear. And like
yeah,
these little practical things, like where do you park your car? And what if some jerk occupies the handicapped spot?
yep,
And by
yep,
the way, I had that handicap sticker. I had the reconstruction surgery
yep,
on my left ACL and everything. I was skiing and I blew out everything that you can blow out.
yeah,
And I had that, they gave me that red sticker. It was a temporary sticker. And one day I kept parking in the normal spot and my doctor saw me and he says, Lubim, you have that sticker. So you don't re-injure yourself. You cannot park in the parking lot and
right,
walk around. You have to take that spot. That's all you're allowed to walk right now.
yeah,
It's part of your treatment. And then I really and when the summer came, I lived in Dillon, Colorado. So if you go to Breckenridge or any places, there are
sure,
so many tourists you cannot find the parking spot. So I'm hypersensitive when somebody without the
yeah,
sticker parks in the handicapped parking spot. I think those people have no consciousness.
yeah,
My friend's daughter needs to have
yep,
her van parked next to the building because She
Yep.
also motor. She rolls down and she goes into her building for work. And if she cannot park here, she cannot park anywhere.
Yep.
It's like her day is finished. She cannot go into the garage. Yeah.
Yeah, there's that part, and then like people that park their cars like across like a sidewalk. So if my daughter and I are out going for a walk, and then it's like all of a sudden you either have to go back to the corner and go out on the street, or go go around them. It's like, okay, most people, if you're walking, you can kind of go around it. If you're in a wheelchair, it's not that easy. That's don't park there.
Yeah. I feel for you. I know it's not easy.
Yeah,
And again, I hope that you get more people included and more people trying new things.
yeah.
And today we have technology that has advanced so much that you can pretty much do anything. Like uh, our number one had a problem with his only leg, and in June, he rehabbed in Alanya in Turkey. He needed physical therapy to save his
Hmm.
leg. Well, while we saved his leg, he qualified for a new prosthetic that is $75,000, and he can jump, he can run. I've seen the commercials, like when you step on the wet rock in the woods, like
Hmm.
a guy in the commercial is jumping on that rock, boom, and he goes off. So, we actually,
Well,
this is like, I would say, one of the major successes, unexpected things that happened. He had his one interview, they declined him. And while he was rehabbing, he had the second online interview, just like us, like we're
hmm.
talking. And he says they're closing their folders, it's bye-bye, we're done. And he said, excuse me, I was 20 years old. I didn't have to go fight. I volunteered. I was flying drones. I volunteered to go in the front lines. And if I'm lucky, I may have 15 years in this lag, but the way it's going, maybe I get 10. And I think I should have some quality of life in those short 10 years before I am completely, handicapped and I cannot use my only leg. And he said they opened up folders and
Wow.
he's getting a new leg right now. Yeah. So next time I see him, number one
Wow.
should run and jump and swim. Like one of our little volunteers, we had a 5-year-old volunteer. She said when he comes back, he's gonna jump, run, and swim just like us.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
yeah.
What is one tip you can share to help our listeners to be more inclusive today? So just something we can all do to start being more inclusive.
Yes, of course, we can look around, and see if people who have limited mobility, challenges because of age, because of health, because of whatever, people around us need help. And it doesn't mean you need to start a mission like Wings for Heroes, but it means if somebody is struggling right next to you, you cannot just walk by.
Right.
That's one of the things. I think that the greatest threat that is facing Western society is apathy. Aaron, it's just so
Yeah.
easy for people these days to, you have an old lady spills oranges, bag rips on the crosswalk, people are hunking. Nobody's running out. She's old. She cannot get all that stuff.
Right.
Just go help.
Yep.
No, they're yelling, swearing. And I think to be more inclusive, you just need to be mindful that by having two legs and two arms and you know, body that is functioning, it's actually a blessing. And if somebody around you is not that blessed, you can just turn around and say, "Hey, excuse me, is there any way I can help you?" You don't need to get in. Just say, "Hey, do you need help?" No. Okay, have a nice day. Bye. That's it. So I think
Right.
inclusion starts with, being empathetic with other people and actually just say something. You don't need
Right.
to go on the mission. Just say, "Can I help you right
Yeah.
now?"
Yeah. I love that. Is there anything you want to talk about that we haven't discussed?
I don't know. I would like to, share with the audience because I had so many experiences, positive experiences with working with people who have limited mobility and other disabilities that you got to go out and just show them, whether it's your kids, your spouse, and that even that moment, like for us specifically, I'm talking about flying. You can go thousands of feet in the air and you can forget about all your issues.
Hmm.
So the world we live in today is a lot more inclusive than it was. And I think the
Yeah.
ones who are going out and helping family members or friends that need help, you'll find out that you can actually do almost anything.
Yeah.
So I
That's
guess go
awesome.
out and look around and try it and connect with people. I'm really grateful that we connected, you know, and
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, thank you so much for reaching out. Where's the best place for everybody to connect with you if they want to follow you and see what's
oh,
going
for
on
me
in
it's
your
easy.
world?
It's Wings for Heroes. I don't know if you
Okay.
do the videos, but it's WINGS number four
Yep.
HEROES Wings for
Got it.
Heroes.org. All the information is there. Contact button is there. If you want to find out about anything, just hit the contact button. It will go to me. If you want to go flying somewhere in the States, you can message me. I'll find you a spot where they're flying. There are a few programs that fly people with limited mobility. And
Awesome.
just if you need an advice or encouragement, you just, I don't know why, but for some reason, if you have a disability, um, you're stronger than us because I don't know how, do you know what I'm trying to say? And like when
Yeah.
you are seeing it, you're seeing like if you had to go through this, you just can imagine how difficult it is, right?
Right.
I'm sure
Yep.
it's difficult being a father, and helping your daughter. But I hope we all come together one day and we just
Right.
play and enjoy this life.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for me, like it. I mean, I know like parts of it are difficult. It's just like she's my daughter, and I'm just doing this stuff, so it doesn't seem like super difficult. But I mean, I understand that I have to do more stuff with her to get her through life than I do my son. It's just when you're going through it, I guess it's one of those things for me at least. It's just she's my daughter. I'm doing it. It's not that big of a deal, but I do recognize that from others looking in, it definitely they see more stuff than I don't pay attention to probably,
Hmm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, you're super strong. It makes all the sense in the world. I'm talking to a man who has a really strong, a lot of strength inside because what
Thank
you're
you.
doing is not easy. And God bless you. I hope everything goes your way, the way you wanted it. And of
Yeah,
course, for her too.
thanks. Ready for the last question?
Is it a trick question?
Do you like spam lunch meat? Yes or no?
No.
No. Have you ever had it?
And of course, I grew up in the former Soviet Union. When
So,
spam came to the former Soviet Union, it was like a delicacy. We ate so much
yeah.
spam. We had no clue what it was, but it was meat. Okay.
Yeah.
When I
Yeah.
was little, I loved it. I could eat it
That's funny.
every day. Yes. I used to
So
love
the
spam, but I don't eat it anymore. I probably
yeah.
forgot what it tastes like.
See, I live near Austin, Minnesota, where Hormel is located, where they make spam, and where the Spam Museum is located. So if you ever want to visit the
Uh-huh.
Spam Museum, you got to come to southern Minnesota.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you for
Well,
sharing.
yeah. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you, Aaron.
To those listening, thank you for allowing me to be part of your journey. It is truly an honor. Please join the podcast newsletter by clicking on the link in the episode description to keep up with the latest episodes. Together, we can make the world more inclusive. Until next time, stay empowered and be a champion for inclusion.